Italy was an anarchy of city-states, popes and other princes in constantly shifting alliances, murders in the cathedral, and orgies in the Vatican were the debris of a crumbling medieval order. This was the world of Niccolo Machiavelli. Religion, too, seemed often a kind of family affair. Princes of the church had concubines. Popes had children. Niccolo has weightier things on his mind. He is a visionary, an Italian patriot convinced that only a single forceful leader can unify Italy, and he knows that independence will require a citizen army. Machiavelli sells the idea, and in a war with neighboring Pisa, his citizen soldiers perform moderately well. But in 1512, they meet hardened Spanish troops at a town named Prado. The Spanish mercenaries panic Machiavelli's militia, and a ghastly slaughter follows. April is a cruel month. Giuliano de' Medici, murdered in the great cathedral by a rival family, it was a plot blessed by the sitting pope to overthrow the de facto rule of the Medici in Florence. Religion, too, seemed often a kind of family affair. Princes of the church had concubines. Popes had children. Lucretia and Cesare Borgia, brother and sister and lovers, also had wealth and power thanks to their sire, Pope Alexander VI, who gives the term godfather a whole other meaning. The reinstalled Medici have discovered a plot to overthrow them, and they have a list of people the plotters hope to recruit. The seventh name on the list is Niccolo Machiavelli. The plotters never got to Machiavelli. It doesn't matter. He's a suspect, and the Medici don't need much excuse to throw him into prison. It is a prayer, chanted by priests for those about to die. This chanting is for the list makers. Prison here has two functions, execution and interrogation. Interrogation means torture, quite legal and quite ingenious. For Niccolo, the experience of the past few months has not been conducive to a romantic view of life, but it has been instructive. In the spring of 1513, Giovanni de' Medici becomes Pope Leo X, and Machiavelli is released in a general amnesty, but with restrictions. He is restricted to the region around Florence, barred from the city hall, banned from politics. He moves to the family's property a few miles out of the city. There he is free, in his own kind of hell. Niccolo begins to work on what he calls the Discourses on the First 10 Books of Titus Livy. It is a book of commentaries on the work of that Roman historian, and makes a strong case for a republican form of government.
Then all of a sudden, he decides to try to get back into the government himself and writes in furious time, in 3 months' time, The Prince. He interrupts the writing of the discourses to take off this time to write The Prince because he's anxious to get back into politics, into government life.
So begins the most famous job application in history. It joins Niccolo's passion for a united Italy with the fact of Medici rule. It urges the reigning Medici to take on a new role as nation founder. Niccolo offers a blueprint for a new kind of leader. The Prince is a book about power. Political power at a time of city-states or principalities, ruled by men called princes. It amounts to 26 short chapters of analysis and opinion that range from the classification of government to advice on selecting staff. It was written to shock and re-educate its reader, and it still manages to do so, to challenge the political pieties of its day and explain to princes and prince wannabes how the game is really played.
Machiavelli is the first political thinker of the Christian era who systematically analyzed the requirements of power and survival.